At some point in life, often when we least expect it, a very quiet moment appears. You may simply be standing in your familiar kitchen, waiting for the kettle to boil, or looking out at a street you have walked along for many years. And suddenly you realize that this body no longer responds the way it once did. It asks for more care and more slowness. Society often teaches us that aging is something to resist or to hide. But in the teachings of the Buddha, growing old is not a failure. It is a sign that you have traveled a long way. Every wrinkle and every ache is evidence of a life that has been lived. The problem is not that we grow older, but how we treat ourselves as we do. Caring for yourself at this stage is not selfish. In this video, we will walk together through 7 gentle habits that help you enter old age with calm dignity and inner peace. When you reach the age of 60, mornings often no longer feel the same. The body does not rise the moment the eyes open. There is a slight heaviness in the joints, a slowness in movement, a sense that the day needs more time to truly begin. Many people meet this moment with frustration. They blame themselves for becoming weaker, slower, no longer who they once were. But in the teachings of the Buddha, this judgment is an unnecessary layer of suffering. Your body has not betrayed you. It is speaking to you. It is reminding you that it has traveled through many years. It has carried you through periods of work, love loss, and change. Each small ache is not a sign of worthlessness, but the voice of a long-time companion asking to be heard with respect. In Buddhism, the body is the first foundation of mindfulness. Not something to conquer or ignore, but something to care for and understand. When we are young, the body often endures in silence. As we grow older, it begins to teach lessons we could not hear before. Lessons of patience, humility, and above all, kindness toward ourselves. So begin each morning differently. When you first wake up, do not reach for your phone or jump out of bed. Lie still for a few moments. Feel the breath moving in and out. Recognize that you are still here, that you have been given another day. Place one hand gently over your chest and silently thank your body for bringing you to this moment. Before standing, allow the body to wake slowly. Stretch your arms gently, roll your ankles, draw each knee toward your chest, and release. These movements are not exercises. They are greetings. Greetings to the legs that have carried you for many years, to the hands that have worked without rest, to the heart that has endured and loved deeply. When you are ready, sit on the edge of the bed and place your feet on the floor. Take a few slow breaths. Allow the transition from rest to movement to happen with awareness. In the teachings of the Buddha, morning is a doorway. The way you step through it shapes the day ahead. You are not slow. You are not falling behind. You are arriving. And when you begin the day with kindness toward your body, you are laying the foundation for a life that is lighter, steadier, and more peaceful from within. At this stage of life, eating often becomes rushed or fades into the background. Many meals happen in front of the television, at the kitchen counter, or in long silence. The food is the same, yet the sense of being nourished seems to disappear. According to the teachings of the Buddha, the problem is not the food itself, but how we meet it. When we eat while the mind is elsewhere, we miss our connection with the life that sustains us. In the Zen tradition, there is a practice called oryoki. Each person receives just the amount of food they need and eats in quiet mindfulness. Not too much, not too little, and without haste. The meal becomes a practice of respect and balance. You do not need to live in a monastery to embody this spirit. Even in your familiar kitchen, you can eat with dignity. Before you eat, pause for a moment. Look at the bowl of food in front of you. Notice its colors, its warmth, and its simple fragrance. Take 3 slow breaths so the body knows it is safe and does not need to. Hurry. When you take the first bite, chew slowly. Allow your sense of taste to open. Many flavors have been there all along, waiting to be noticed. As you continue, listen to your body. Gently ask whether you are still hungry or simply eating out of habit. In many Asian traditions, there's a reminder to eat until you are just full, not overfilled and not deprived. This way of eating supports easier digestion and honors the changing needs of the aging body. If possible, share meals with others. Connection is also a form of nourishment, and when you eat alone, set the table with care. Place the bowl and utensils neatly. Treat yourself as a respected guest. Each meal, when received with presence, becomes a quiet act of self-care, reminding you that your life is still worthy of attention and tenderness. Every moment of eating can become a very simple healing ritual. As age increases, many people begin to feel hesitant about movement. Not because of laziness, but because of fear. Fear of pain, fear of falling, fear that the body may no longer respond as it once did. This caution is understandable. The body is more sensitive now and asks to be treated with greater care. But in the teachings of the Buddha movement was never about proving strength. It is a way of continuing to participate in life. At this stage, movement is not meant to achieve results or improve appearance. It is simply an invitation for the body to be present. The body does not need to be forced or corrected. It only needs to be invited back into its natural rhythm. Whether at 70, 80 or beyond, the body still wants to move gently according to its own capacity. The Buddha practiced walking every day not to reach a destination, but to be present with each step. From this came the practice of walking meditation. When walking, simply know that you are walking. Not thinking about the past, not worrying about the future, just feeling the feet touch the ground one step at a time. This simplicity reconnects body and mind after many years of separation. You can begin with very little. 10 minutes of walking is enough. 20 minutes if it feels comfortable. There is no need to measure distance or compare with anyone else. What matters is not how far you go, but how present you are. Let your arms swing naturally. Let your eyes rest on the sky, the trees, or the faces passing by. Each step is a quiet confirmation that you are still living with this body. If going outside feels difficult, walk indoors, along a hallway, around the living room, or simply standing up and sitting down slowly. Movement does not depend on place. The body does not judge. It only responds to care. Gentle stretching in the morning also brings meaningful change. After a night of rest, the joints can feel stiff, and a few minutes of soft stretching can make the whole day easier. Reach your arms upward, twist slowly, and bend gently with the support of a chair. The chair here is not a sign of weakness, but an expression of wisdom. Knowing when to accept support is also a form of care. Morning sunlight is another kind of nourishment. Standing near a window or sitting outside for a few minutes helps the body remember its natural rhythm. Every movement, no matter how small, is a way of saying that you are still choosing to remain with life in gentleness and respect. As life enters this stage, many people quietly stop learning. Not because they no longer have the ability, but because they believe learning belongs to the young. They think their memory has weakened, that there is little time left for new things, and that what needs to be known has already been learned. Gradually, days pass within familiar routines, and the mind retreats into a safe and narrow space. But in the teachings of the Buddha, learning was never meant to prove intelligence. Learning is a way to keep the mind open. In Zen, this is called beginner's mind, a mind that can meet each moment as if for the first time. When curiosity is alive, the mind does not grow old. It remains vivid, flexible, and gentle. When curiosity fades, the mind begins to close, and suffering quietly increases. Keeping the mind alive does not require classrooms or achievements. It only asks for gentle attention and interest. Reading a few pages each day is enough. It may be a poem, a short story, or a passage that causes you to pause and reflect. Reading does more than bring new information. It reminds you that the world is still wide and worthy of exploration. Simple activities like assembling puzzles, solving crosswords, or playing light thinking games also keep the mind moving without pressure. They are not meant to train you to be better than others, but to maintain focus and flexibility. Sometimes learning comes from interests you once set aside because there was no time. A small skill, a new subject, or simply a deeper understanding of something you love. Now is not too late. Often this is the most fitting time. Joy does not live in the result but in the act of learning itself. When you learn in this spirit, the mind becomes softer and more adaptable. Meaningful conversations also nourish the mind. Not polite exchanges, but sincere listening and sharing. Telling an old story, asking a thoughtful question, listening deeply to another's experience. In Buddhism, this shared presence is part of Sangha. Sharing what you know is also a way to keep the mind young. When you pass on experience, you organize memory and affirm the value of your life. You still have something to give. The mind stays alive when it feels connected and needed. You have never stopped growing, and you have never lost the ability to contribute to this world. As life moves into its later stage, the heart is no longer as empty as it once was. It carries many years of love and loss, regretful choices and words that were never spoken. Some emotions have been there for a very long time, sadness, anger, guilt, or longing, yet they have never been fully faced. They do not disappear with time. They settle quietly and subtly shape the way we live each day. Many people believe that strength means not showing emotion, keeping everything inside. But in the teachings of the Buddha, it is the avoidance of emotion that allows suffering to continue. What is not recognized becomes heavy. What is not embraced slowly hardens. Over time, this weight turns into exhaustion, bitterness, or a quiet, unnamed sadness. In Buddhism, there is a gentle practice called rain. First, recognize the emotion that is present. Without judgment, simply name it. Then allow it to be there instead of resisting it. Next, investigate it with gentle curiosity, noticing where it lives in the body. Finally, nurture yourself with compassion. Sometimes this is as simple as placing a hand over your chest and slowing the breath. This gesture sends a clear message to the nervous system that it is safe to feel. Anger and resentment in particular need this kind of care. The Buddha taught that holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. The first person to be burned is you. Letting go is not denying what happened. It is freeing yourself from pain that no longer serves you. This is also true toward yourself. Many people carry guilt for years because of decisions made with limited understanding. They return again and again to the past, blaming themselves for not acting differently. But the truth is that you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. Self-forgiveness is not forgetting. It is looking back with honesty and kindness. There is a story of a woman who carried shame for decades until a teacher asked her to hold a stone in her hand. After only a few minutes, her arm ached deeply. The teacher said, "This is how you have lived your whole life. Carrying a burden only hurts you more." When she put the stone down, something in her heart softened. You deserve to feel lighter. The heart does not need to forget the past to be free. It only needs to loosen its grip. When you allow yourself to feel, to forgive, and to release, the heart finds room to breathe again, and life slowly becomes more spacious. At this age, sleep often no longer comes easily. Many people lie awake for a long time before falling asleep, only to wake again in the middle of the night. In the darkness, familiar thoughts grow louder. Worries about health, family, or the future repeat themselves, leaving the body tired while the mind refuses to rest. Over time, this lack of sleep makes a person feel fragile and easily discouraged. In the teachings of the Buddha, rest is not a sign of weakness. Rest is an act of trust. When we sleep, we release control, allowing body and mind to soften. The Buddha once said that sleep is like a small death each night. We let go of today so that we can be born again in the morning. When we resist sleep or judge ourselves for needing more rest, we create additional tension that makes sleep even harder to find. As we grow older, sleep becomes more sacred, not less important. During deep rest, the body repairs itself, the brain clears itself, and emotions slowly settle. Honoring sleep means creating the conditions for it to arise naturally. This begins with steady rhythm. Going to bed and waking at the same time each day helps the body feel safe. When the nervous system feels safe, sleep comes more easily. About an hour before bed, begin to slow the evening down. Reduce bright light and turn off glowing screens. Blue light confuses the body into thinking it is still daytime. Instead, read a few gentle pages, listen to soft music, or sit quietly with a warm cup of tea. These habits signal to the body that the day is coming to a close. Before lying down, try a body scan with attention. Bring the mind to the feet and then slowly move upward. Notice each part without trying to change anything. Silently thank your legs for supporting you, your hands for their constant work, and your heart for its endurance over the years. When the body feels seen, it naturally softens. If you wake during the night, do not rush into frustration. Do not argue with sleep. The Buddha taught acceptance rather than struggle. Breathe slowly and remind yourself that nighttime worries are often exaggerated. Do not make decisions in the dark. Rest is not laziness. It is wisdom. When you honor sleep, you are honoring the life that has carried you all the way to this moment. As the outer world gradually grows quieter at this stage of life, deeper questions begin to arise. Questions about meaning, about death, about whether this life has truly had value. In the teachings of the Buddha, this is not a crisis, but an invitation to turn inward. As busyness softens, inner space opens for listening. Just a few minutes each day, sitting quietly with the breath, is enough. There is no need to control it, simply notice and gently return. Each return is a step into the stillness that has always been there. Gratitude is an important doorway. Noticing the morning light, a warm cup of tea, or the steady rhythm of the breath helps the heart feel less lacking. Reflecting on and sharing the story of your life also carries healing. Every experience becomes living wisdom. The Buddha taught, "Be a lamp unto yourself, and trust that the light of peace has always been present within you."